Sorry, I didn't even record your awesome introduction. But anyways, so Bria, we're so happy that you're here. Like I said, she's going to share some gems on how she crushes Success Club every month. So I'm going to go ahead and mute out. Oh, and it looks like everyone else is too. So, all right, take it away, Bria. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. It's really awkward to sit here and have someone talk about you, especially when I feel the exact same way about you. And it is funny that Emma tried to pair us. I just don't think we understood what it meant to be a success partner or what it have a success partner, any of that. And it's one of those things that I don't think can really be forced. Like, I think it just happens really naturally as you meet people. But anyway, yes, we finally met, and it's made it very easy to work together, hasn't it? So I'm really excited. You're one of my most favorite people, and I love working on your team and learning from you too. But I know I am the one who's supposed to be talking, and I love talking about Success Club because I do really believe that it is like your business starts and ends with it. It really is. It's kind of in a way a harsh reality, but if you can't connect with people enough and bring people into your challenge groups and help them like get started, then you won't have anyone to recruit from. You're not really helping people hit goals. So it really is the first and most important thing that happens in your business every single month. So it is my sole focus, even though I am fortunate, like my team has really grown this last year and it's very exciting, but I always make sure that especially the first 15 days of the month, I'm very focused on my business and getting it to Success Club. And I don't always reach into the 20s. I'm only at 11 right now. So I find January a tough month for some reason, but that might just be in my head. Before I dive in though, because I feel like there's a lot of elements to Success Club, and I'd like to understand maybe a little bit about where you guys are at and where you struggle, because I think like there's two parts. There's like the marketing part, like generating interest and having people to actually even talk to. And then there's the whole like, okay, now we're talking, like sending them through the invitation process and like closing kind of thing. Like not to make it a sales thing, but the cool part about finally calling it a sale thing, because I know we talk a lot about it being sharing, and that really is what it is. But at the end of the day, there is a bit of a sale element there. And the best part about that is that selling is a skill. So you can learn it and you can get good at it. But I am going to have everyone just like, if you can unmute, and maybe I'll go across my screen and I'm going to call you out so that nobody has to take turns. But I want to know which part is hard for you. And if it ends up being both, then we'll talk about both. But I want to make sure I'm talking about the right stuff for you guys. So Shannon, you're first on my screen. So I'm hitting you. I know you're brand new though, so maybe you haven't done anything. Like, is this your first few days as a coach?
Yep, I actually started on Monday. So I'm in the process of getting everything set up, learning, products, learning how everything works. It's overwhelming, but I think, it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
So baby steps as far as that goes. I'm an overthinker.
Okay.
So yeah. I think that it will come. Just needs time.
Probably just need to act and stop thinking, right?
Yes.
Exactly. The hardest part. Okay. Yeah. So you're brand new, so we could start fresh from you. Joelle, you obviously have hit Success Club a little bit. Do you have any parts in there that you find tricky that you want to understand better or want some tips on?
I would say for me, it's finding the people to reach out to. Right now, it's still people I kind of know. And I'm in the process. Like, I'm starting a fit club next week. So hopefully that'll help and stuff. But that's my biggest thing.
So not running out of that warm market.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And Angelica, nice to meet you in person.
For me, it's I think it's how I'm marketing my challenge groups and the product. I think there's a little bit of that. And I think it's also finding new people too, like my warm market. Like I feel like, I'm kind of stuck on my like page to, just under 200 people. And I think that is probably part of it as well. So it's getting the message out there. Maybe I'm not marketing things the way that are super clear.
Okay.
I'm offering. And then, it's the follow-up as well. And the whole thing, I think I'm just lacking in all of it. So
I understand. I'm sure you're not lacking. We always are harder on ourselves then. So I'm sure it's never as bad as you think it is, but I think like in the beginning, I was like, okay, I can be a product of the product. I can read personal development. Who the heck am I supposed to invite? You know, where it's like that first, it's like, I want to invite, I guess, like it's a little scary, but I'm like, I don't know who I'm even supposed to invite. So sometimes that's often where we get stuck right in the beginning. Okay. And Becky, what about you? Where do you?
I feel like the same thing. I just, I don't always know who to, talk to about it or invite. But anyway, kind of the whole process too, like I get stuck on the closing too. I don't know. Yeah.
Like actually asking them, or like you put it all out there with the price and then you get crickets.
Yeah, and then nothing. And that's kind of where I am at with this challenge group that I'm doing. Like they were really excited, and then I haven't heard anything. So
okay, got it. Okay, so we'll do a good full run through. Just so I know, Carrie, how much time do you usually have for your team calls?
We usually do up to an hour. So whatever you got, we'll take it gladly.
Let's dive in. I think I should be good till 2:30, so we should be okay. So I feel like let's start with marketing in the beginning, because I think that, and I want to just share with you, I mean, obviously I don't know everything, but I'll just share what I do and what works for me. And hopefully you guys are able to take a few things in there, because over the years I've been able to find, like it is a lot of trial and error of finding what works for you. But in the process, you do want to have enough success to kind of keep yourself engaged and going. I'd say in the I like to look at this invitation process as they say a 5-step invitation process. I make it a 6 and have like a step 0. And that's where the marketing comes into place. Because the very first part of what we do is connecting with people. And we do that, I think, in 2 ways. One, in life, I think there's we talk a lot about social media, but I think there's a lot of power in just the people we connect with every day in our life. And I still remember, when I finally was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it a real go. Standing at the playground, pushing my son in the swing, and like there's someone next to me pushing, and I'm like, just say hi. Why is this so hard? Like that first initial awkward, like just like we're 2 human beings both pushing our kids. Like, let's just say hi. So pushing yourself, I think my first tip in terms of like reaching out to the people around you is getting into the habit of always having your coach hat on. And I know that can be tough because many people have other roles besides being a mom, because it's like, okay, you can seem to divide, like I'm a mom and I'm a coach, but like being a mom and a nurse and a coach can be, people get confused. You really need to just, when you're out in the world, you need to just put obviously have your parent hat on, but put your coach hat on. I'm a fitness coach. That's what I do. So that when you are talking to people and you're being genuinely interested in who they are in life, and like, it's really common for you to be like, oh, well, what do you do? And the next question after you learn what they do is often, what do you do? And you can just say, there's so much power in just saying like, oh, I'm a fitness coach, and just kind of floating it out there and leave it. People want to know more about that because everybody struggles with health and fitness. So I'd say that's sort of my first step in connecting with the people in your life. It's always making sure that you are meeting new people out and about, whether it's like creating a fit club or joining a mommy group or putting yourself out there at the park and putting that hat on so that you're striking up enough of a conversation. And if you have a connection with that person, you have to almost push it to the point of being like, well, like we both have kids, like we should get together sometime. Like, do you have, and I don't ask people for their phone number. I'm like, oh, are you on Facebook? It's a much gentler ask in a way. Like, cause if someone's going to ask for my phone number, it's so much more of a commitment, I think, than just being like, oh, you're just going to be another person on Facebook. That's fine. But that's how you add people to that network. And then I'm sure you know this, the cool thing about Facebook is that the people who are seeing your posts every day are the new people you add to your network and the people that you're talking with in that moment. So that's a critical part, is that you're adding 2 to 3 people to your network every single day because they're the ones who are seeing what you're posting. And then it becomes a really organic thing because they're like, oh, well, I met you at the park and maybe they found out you're a fitness coach and now they're occasionally seeing your fitness posts. And it just is like a little seed that starts to sprout in their brain. So that's one part of the marketing. And then the other part I'd say goes into social media side. And, we always hear like posting, 3 to 5 times a day. I think it's, it is important what you post, that it has value or that it, attracts people. And I'll say a tip on that before I move on. I heard a great tip once that, again, you want to engage people by not always being like, oh, here's my Shakeology, yum, but maybe show that you've made a smoothie, but don't say it's Shakeology, because then people, I did one yesterday and someone was like, well, what are you drinking? And then it opens up a conversation so that you're not actually, it doesn't seem like such a sell. I'm not putting myself out there. It leaves that element of mystery. So sometimes when I do a workout video, I'll show, I'll say what workout I'm doing, but often I don't. So a lot of people are like, oh, do you make up your own moves? And then I can be like, oh no, I totally follow a program. This is it. Have you heard of it? Kind of thing. So when you're posting and you're creating value for people out there, make sure sometimes adding, there's so much that adds to that element of mystery. But the key part, I think, in marketing in social media is after that. Once you have put your posts out there, so I know the first thing I do on my power hour every single day is I schedule out 3 posts for the day. So I've already posted my morning workout, I post my midday and my evening workout. I never used to post, so posting 3 times a day is plenty of posting, I think, for people who follow me. And then what I do after that is I actually go back to yesterday's posts, I look at those 3 posts, and I look at everybody who liked or commented on those posts. Now, if it's my personal page, obviously they're friends at some point of mine. So I will start by messaging those people and I'll thank them for, I'll send them a quick message that's like, oh, thanks so much for your support on my page. It's kind of hard to put myself out there, but it's been such a life-changing thing for me. So it's been really great. How are you? And you're always trying to, again, turn it into a conversation with them and opening it up to connect with them. If it's someone that I haven't talked to in a while, I might say oh, it's so great to see your name pop up on my Facebook page. How's it going? What's going on? And again, I might use those 2 sort of script ideas to connect with the people that liked my stuff. And I'm regimented about that. Those are the people I'm reaching out to because they're in a way, they're warmer than my warm market. They're my friends and they're interested in what I'm doing because they're liking and commenting on my page. So that's who I'm always focused on connecting with. And then it makes sure that the people I'm talking to are the people that are really closest to a sale at that point. I'm not having to pull people out that I haven't talked to in forever. It's like they've already noticed what I'm doing. And that's where that element of consistency is so critical. Adding to your network, posting every day, messaging those people, because it becomes a marketing plan where they're seeing these little bits every day so that by the time you end up striking up a conversation with them, they've already thought about you twice in the fitness that they're doing and how fitness is going in their life. And it becomes a much easier way to do it. Does that make sense in terms of the marketing level? So that's sort of my first step in marketing. And I know I could probably spend a whole hour talking about cold market marketing, but I'll just run through because I know that Joelle was curious about that. I think reaching into your cold market can be a little bit harder. It takes longer. So if you've I encourage you to create a business-like page, get started and post on that as well. Whether you're just posting the same stuff or not, doesn't really matter. But you do need to grow your page, and you have to, I think, the only way to grow it is by running ads. And if you want, I've done a team call of mine that's recorded on how, I recently took a course on ads, and I'm sure Carrie's gone over this already with you guys, but if you want, I can send it to you guys to say how I think you can run the most effective ads to get likes, which has been starting to work for me at long last. But Carrie's got an amazing page, so she probably already knows this stuff better than I do. But when it comes to growing your page, and I didn't start doing that until about a year in. Obviously, posting is really important. I run an ad a month that generates likes. And again, it's another thing that has to be very systematic and consistent. I run that ad, and then I'm posting and I'm going in, and anyone who likes or comments on that ad gets a friend request from me and a message that thanks them for liking it and asking them about their goals so that I can start striking up that connection and conversation. And then I run a free group to kind of develop some type of relationship further with them so that over time, these people have now become more of my warm market and less of my cold market. So that's how you turn, I think, reach into your cold market is really by making them your market.
And Bria, I actually took Bria's script. The one that she uses, she says, hi, thank you. You know, this is Bria from, so I'll say, hi, this is Carrie from Kickbox and Killing Kiddos. Thank you so much for liking my page. It means so much to me to have support. And then this is where I got for Bria. Are you a fellow fitness lover, or are you just starting on your fitness journey? And that question is pretty golden. You know, people say, oh, I blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I love fitness or whatever. Or they'll say like, well, I'm trying to get started. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I need to lose 40 pounds or whatever. And it's such a great intro to like, well, let's talk. You know, I can help you. So I think that line I got from Bria, that's, are you a fellow fitness lover, or are you just starting out on your journey? I think that's a good one.
It also surfaces if they're a coach, and then you can be like, great to connect, peace out, you know, and you can kind of move on so that you're not spending time in areas that maybe aren't as valuable for you. Yeah, so that's in terms of your cold market. I think that is sort of your critical piece. It's always developing relationships. And that's why consistency, in my mind, is that fourth vital behavior. Because if you're not consistently doing it, people aren't going to be able to trust you. They're not going to see you there every day. And it's such an important part of them believing that you're real, I think. Okay, so that's what I would talk about in terms of marketing. That's how you generate that interest, and who am I going to talk to? Those are the two ways that I really focus on doing that. Out in the world, and then consistently through social media and reaching out to them. And I think, you know, like early on, like we talk about 2 to 3 people a day. Like early on, I remember Emma saying it was a cut month, and she's like, you're having such a good month. Like what would happen if you like doubled that? Instead of doing 2 to 3, talk to 4 to 6. And I was like, you know what? It's just raising your standard. And the more people, that's how I hit bigger numbers. I just talk to more people. So if you want to have a bigger month down the road, just up your level a little bit. Instead of pushing yourself to add 2 to 3 people, add 3 to 4, or 3 to 5, and just push it a little bit every month if you want to try to. That's how they eventually come around. And the other key, I think, to that is I end up talking to so many people, I don't notice when somebody doesn't write me back. And then it doesn't bug me because I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice. When someone finally is like, sorry, it's been a month. I'm like, that's okay. I really was too busy to notice. Anyway, that's what works for me. Obviously, I've tracked them somewhere, but I try not to let it, bother you in the beginning. Okay, so then once I've done that, the next step is really to move into, generating some interest and making it more about the challenge group. Because it's a key part, especially if it's people you don't know, letting them know that I'm a coach and I run challenge groups. That's actually what I do. So there's a few levels there. Because if you have posted about a challenge group on your page, then it's great because you have people that maybe have liked and commented it, and it becomes an easy question like, thanks for liking my post about my challenge group. Is it something, were you being supportive? Thank you. Or is it something that you're interested in learning more about? So when I do a post about a challenge group and I say like or comment or fill out this application, for more information, I always message every single person who liked it, even if I'm prejudging them somewhere in my brain and I'm like, oh, well, they were just totally being supportive. But that's how I say it to them. I'm like, oh, were you just being supportive, which is great, thanks, in brackets, or are you interested in more information? And again, these all start to plant seeds in people's mind, even if a lot of people are like, no, I was just being supportive, but I swear down the line they join. I just try to keep it positive for them. But for these people that maybe you're just having conversations with, you're just getting to know, or you're sending out these 3 messages a day just to connect with people. My next step, once they've asked me what I do and I say I'm a fitness coach, I do like to tell them, if they're like, oh, well, what is that? Or what do? I do like to let them know what I do. And I'll say the most effective thing I do is run these online challenge accountability groups. And, it's what, I should probably read my actual script out to you, but I'll say, it's really, I work with people to choose a fitness program and a nutritional element that fits into their life with their goals. And it's all done online, so you do it when it works for you. And it's a lot of fun because we're doing it together. It's what worked for me. I always like to say it's what worked for me. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. And then sometimes that'll generate some interest. Or if they are actually inquiring about it, that's when I'll say, is that something that you'd like more information about? And I think it's a key part in our invitation process is leading with another question there. Because the last thing I like to do is leave a question. So their first instinct is to respond to my question when they respond to me. Because then after that, we start heading into more of an informational phase. What do we do? And I think I like to do one of two things. Either I like to give them some information of what they can expect from me at this point, like what I offer, and let them know. I think I've given Carrie these scripts, and I found them really effective. We put these scripts together recently where that first level after someone expresses interest in a challenge group is really to tell them what they can expect from me and kind of generate some excitement. And also be like, if it's something you want more information on, the first step is for me to ask you a few questions to better understand where you might be so that I can recommend the right thing. And you should, and those have been really working for me, these. So I would, I think, Carrie, they're in my snippets. So I don't know if you want to pass those along, or maybe you already have, but because the key part here, I think, because when it comes to, I don't like objections. I'm really like a total conflict avoider. It makes me really uncomfortable. So when people come up with objections, I'm like, it's okay. I'll be here when you're ready, but so I really like to, preempt my objections and try to get them out of the way early by asking a lot of questions and getting to know people. And I think I always look at Success Club as like knowledge plus understanding equals Success Club. So knowledge being like, you have confidence enough in what we do as a coach and how these tools specifically have helped you so that they can help someone else. And also understanding of where a person is, where they want to go, and what their problem is in between there. So once I understand what their problem is, I can be like, oh, well, I have something for you because I had that problem, or this person had that problem, and like this will fix that problem. So that I think, in my opinion, the only objection that should really at the end of the day come down is like if someone actually doesn't have the money. Most people have enough money that they can at some point budget it so that works into their life. But if someone has no money in their life, then that's just, they can't buy things, right? So, but other than that, I think that's where I like to work in this level 2, this step 2 of the invitation process, is making sure that I've asked a lot of questions on that. And in the snippets, I kind of did a larger section. I think this script or the snippet that Carrie will share with you, I think I use this more when I think people are pretty serious. Sometimes if I'm just getting to know someone, I just like to ask them a lot, 1 or 2 questions at a time. And it can be anything like, I'm trying to get a clear picture of what they struggle with. Why is it hard for them to lose weight on their own? Because we all have those things, and you need to tap into that emotional side so that you're talking to people about their purpose here and not just wanting to drop 10 pounds.
Right, Bria, I want to just reiterate that. I know when I first started out as a brand new coach, and you might have been the same way, but when people would ask me about a challenge group, I was so excited that I would just tell them all about it. Oh, we do fitness, and we do nutrition, and we do support, and we drink Shakeology, and it's awesome, and we have so much fun, and you check in every day, and they were like, whoa, it was all about the group. But I think that second step, like you said, is so important, where you are asking questions. Like, it's all about them. And I find the more I dig into their goals, their struggles, what they need, they sell themselves on the challenge pack, because I show them how this is going to help them with that goal. Like you said, when they say, oh, I just have no energy, that's when I could be like, okay, this is going to help you. And I tell them I solve their problem for them, and they're like, oh, I want that. It's not like me trying to convince them. Like, I know what they struggle with, and when I could show them exactly how we're going to overcome those struggles, then they sell themselves. And like you said, at the end of the day, if they can't afford it, they always come back because they want it. It's not like me trying to sell them. Like, they know it's going to help them with their goals. So I think that step is so important. And one, I skipped a lot as a coach because I was just so excited to talk about Shakeology and challenge groups that I didn't really dive in and really get to know people. So anyways.
A great point, Carrie. I think you never want to lose sight of, and it happens to all of us that we lose sight of it once in a while, but you never want to lose sight of that we're just people helping people here. We really are. Like, think about how, these finding something that worked for you in your life, like how that changed your life and the emotion behind that for you, so that when you can lead with that when you're talking to people, like, that this can change people's lives. So taking the time to understand someone's struggles and honoring them by hearing their story a little bit to genuinely match up what works really is the best gift that you can give to people, because there is nothing worse than, like, I swear, we went to look at car shopping and we were ready to buy this car, and this guy was so aggressive and he didn't even take a minute to ask me. I felt like, and in a way as a salesperson, I'm like, you didn't even take a minute to ask me what I wanted, and you're already selling me on things that I haven't even told you that matter to me. And that's a key part, I think, about sharing the challenge pack and the challenge. You don't need to talk to people about the things that don't matter to them. You just need to talk to them about the things that matter to them. Because when you talk to them about things that don't matter, that's sales. You haven't taken the time to understand what really matters to them and how this will change and affect their life in a way that because you've been through. And that's just people helping people. Again, it's experience. So then you're kind of moving on into like the sharing. Once you have a really clear understanding of what program or what their issue is, so that you can share the program with them. I think I have a few things that I have found really helpful for me over time is I always make sure I explain the program and tell them specifically why I like it for them. That's my opportunity, and that's step 4 of the invitation program. So if I'm talking about the 21-day fix, I'll say why I love it, and then I'll say, and I love it for you because it totally fits your timeline. Or I know that you also love to play hockey, and I love it for you because you can use this program as a hybrid for your life. Or and I'll do the same as I explain Shakeology and the nutrition side. I love it for you because I know you struggle with knowing what to eat. And I think those are really important pieces, because you're sharing, again, that you listened, and you're validating to them that you're trying to offer them the right thing for them and not just sell them a product. And then the second piece that I find the most helpful is in that same step as I'm sharing what the program is and why I think it would be the right thing for them, I'm obviously also taking that time to tell them the cost, because you need to, otherwise their next question is how much. So I always put that in there too, and I'll explain the cost, and I'll say, if this is not ideal for you right now, that is totally okay. I just want to help, and I want people to know that. And we can look at options outside of a challenge pack or outside of a challenge group and touch base one-on-one. But I just know that this is what worked for me, and I know that it would help you hit the goals that you're looking for. So I always just make sure to let them know that it's okay and give them that permission to say no. I think when people feel like you really are just there to help, that they don't feel like they're ever being taken advantage of. And if it isn't the right time, because sometimes it just isn't, then they know that you're there for the right reasons, and they'll come back to you. Because this really is a long-term thing. The trajectory of this business is like 3 years before it, 2 to 3 years before it can really take off for you. That's how the compound effect, it's like a hockey stick. So you have so much time to be there for people. So just let them know that you're going to be there for them. And that's sort of how my invitation process is. Like, as when it comes down to step 5, so I've kind of offered them that for them. And so I don't really leave a lot of room for them to say, if it comes down to cost, they'll just say, I just don't have the money. And it's like, I'm always like, that's okay. If you want, or I'll let you know about the next challenge group, or if it goes on promotion. And I always make sure that I'm leaving it so that they know I'm going to follow up with them. And I will follow up with them until they either tell me to bugger off, or they hope nobody has little ears around, sorry, or they or they finally say yes. And usually they'll just stay quiet, or they'll just tell me they're not ready until they get on the wagon. And I think that's critical, because I literally had a great meeting with a girl in the fall, and we had coffee. Like, she's a neighbor of mine. I'd never met her. She kind of found me on Facebook. She's super fit. We had a great coffee at her house, and she was in my sneak peek, interested in being a coach. And then she literally, it was like she never wrote me back. I must have written her 3 or 4 times, and I was like, and finally this week on Monday, I wrote her and I said, I hope I didn't offend you in any way, but, like we're neighbors. So, and then she wrote me, she's like, I'm so sorry. We found out we were moving and I've been so busy. And she's like, you totally didn't offend me. Let's have coffee because now I'm ready. It was like, that's how it happens. So it really is important to just try to be kind, be patient. And if you lead, I think, with that feeling, eventually they will join you, and they do. Because it's a good thing and not an icky thing. So that, I think, that's my process. That's how I take people through in terms of Success Club. And, this last year, I think I did, like in my first year, once I got the hang of it, it was often hitting that Success Club 10. And last year it did get up into the 20s. And I really think that's because I kept going that momentum with that warm market and never let up there. And then I cracked into that cold market, which just took me the whole year. It takes longer, because you're building up those relationships. But I have no unique skills. Like, I have a BA in philosophy, and I am just as busy as the next guy. But I think my strength is in consistency, and I will always get, like, the first thing I do after I get my kids off, or when they go down for a nap before they went off to school, was my power hour. And I always make sure I post, add to my network, send out connection messages, and I always follow up with people. And I really think those are such critical pieces to hitting Success Club.
Bria, how many conversations would you say you have going usually, like, at one time, just to give kind of an idea of the numbers people need to be talking to in order to hit Success Club?
Well, it's a great question. In my first year, as I said, I always sent out a minimum of 3 messages a day to connect with people. And so that does start to build, right? Like, usually in the beginning, I'd send out 3 messages. One person might never write me back. One might just say, yeah, nice to talk to you. Like, there was no, like, how are you? There was no return conversation. And then one might actually go somewhere. But, I've noticed these last few months, like, when I sit down to answer messages, I usually have anywhere between 20 and 35 messages from people that, some are coaches for sure, but are people that I'm talking to. I like to, instead of inviting 3 people a day, I like to make sure that I'm up on those connections. And then 3 weeks before my next challenge group, I sit down, I make the list, and I'll invite 60 to 70 people.
At once?
At once. Because I'm able to, like, craft 2 or 3 messages that I can kind of copy and paste, using their name, of course, to make it personal. But then it's just a time maximizer, I think.
For sure.
And again, then I don't get offended when someone doesn't write me back because I didn't notice.
Right. I know. I'm totally the same way.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I didn't even notice. But at the beginning, it was like a personal, like, oh, they didn't respond. Oh, like, you take it so personal. But no, I think that's
all those messages you sent me, and I said that to you.
You
didn't notice.
I did. I noticed you, Shannon. It hurt my heart big time. But no, I think that's a really important part too. And I didn't do that at the beginning, was just sending those messages to people to connect and build relationships. Don't say anything about Beachbody. Just simply say, like, what do you usually say in your connecting messages? Just, hi, how are you? I've been thinking about you.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I'll usually, if I'm sending out a connection message to someone I know but haven't talked to in a while, I'll take a quick look at their page, and then I'll try to tailor it more to them. That's like, hey, how's it going? We haven't talked in so long. Like, can't believe you just had a baby, or whatever it is that's happening in their social media, to show that I am at least thinking about them for real when I write that message.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we have all gotten messages from people who are selling something, and you could tell it's just a copy and pasted message, nothing personal about it. And it just feels like, you feel like you're being sold to, and you don't, like, I don't like that. I don't even respond to those most of the time. I'm like, whatever. But I think when you take the time, like you said, to look at their page and say, the picture of your baby just posted from my newsfeed. Oh my gosh, I didn't know you had a baby. How are things? It's been so long. Just making those connections. And sometimes they go nowhere at all. But those conversations, like you said, it's building relationships. People are going to see what you're doing if you're consistently posting on your page about what you do as a coach. People will see it. And hopefully your relationship's strong enough where they'll feel comfortable coming to you because you've been talking now. So I think I didn't do that at the beginning, just those messages of just saying, hi, how are you? But I think that is something I learned from you too, is just the importance of those building relationships that have nothing to even do with Beachbody. But
yeah. I hear it from a lot of people. They'll be like, oh, I just feel so disingenuous sending something like that. And I'm like, I guess I can understand that, but don't you get excited reconnecting with people you haven't talked to in so long? Like, I love, like, when you get to reconnect with someone, gosh, like, I feel like I have so many people in my life now that I'd lost touch with, like, even like my 5-year-old best friend, is a coach on the it's like these people that come back into your life and you realize how wonderful they are, and otherwise they wouldn't have been. And that really is like most beautiful part about this business, is that we're just building a group of very positive, fun people around you. That's what you're doing, is you're just surrounding yourself with goodness, and people want to be a part of that. So as long as you keep it good, then I think, and positive, then it seems to go over well.
Yeah, for sure.
I will just say one thing on that. Like, I have been really fortunate to have some great, Success Club numbers, but it really like quality is so much more important than quantity. So, start first with like that, hitting that Success Club 5 or 6 is really what it ends up being. Is really so important, and connecting with those people, because what we're trying to do is help people get through help them get through the hard decision, like the hard part of making a decision to take a leap of faith, help them get through those 21, 30, or 60 hard days and get results. Help them get through that every step of the way, and then help them share it with other people. And if you can help that, if you can focus on helping them through those sort of 3 major milestones, then not only will you bring in challengers who get results, but they will bring in challengers who get results, which is ultimately how you build this business, through recruiting.
Perfect. Thank you. And let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Do you guys have questions for Bria at all?
I just had a question.
Yeah, Becky.
When you said, it doesn't really have to do with the invitation process, but you said that you, when this is something I have a really hard time with, is posting consistently. You said you post a workout, something about your workout every single morning. Is that every single day you do that?
Yes.
And so, like, what do you, because I've done it a little bit, but then and then I quit because I'm like, what workout I do every day. So what kind of things do you do to like mix it up?
Sometimes I will post like literally about the move I did and how many reps it is, and how people have told me they like to hear what's really hard for me. They'll say like, oh, I love seeing what you find really challenging, or what you find, because that's really different. Sometimes when I'm working out, I'll just, one of the trainers says something and I think about that inspiration, or I'll think about how maybe it was hard to get out of bed that morning, or maybe it wasn't. And I just try to share something that I went through. And I think that's what people relate to, because it's kind of real. But I want you to know that I understand what it feels like to think no one's listening, but they are. I can promise you. And I think that is, if you can just forget about that part, that you feels like no one's listening, eventually you will see that they are. It's the same with building a team page. If you have even 1 or 2 coaches under you, start a team page. I can't tell you how many months I posted in a team page where nobody wrote back. I remember one of my coaches would even laugh about it. Be like, you're posting and I don't know who you're posting to. But eventually it grows, and that's what I think is so challenging for people about this business, is that it's like you got to start in the basement. You're starting below and you're building it so long before you get above ground where you can actually see the progress you're making. But anyway, that's what I'll post about, is anything that I'm thinking, or sometimes I'll just be like, really didn't want to work out, but I did it, something like that. Whatever you're feeling, I try to share that. And I know it's hard, but it gets easier the more you force yourself to do it.
So is it sometimes just words, or do you always post a picture or a video, or?
I always post a picture or a video. I find that if I post words, it really never gets any traction.
I love, Bria, that it's become your brand. Like, I know every single morning and she posts early, so I know every morning when I get on Instagram or Facebook, I'm going to see Bria's workout video every single morning. Like, it's there. And it's become her brand. Like, you know to expect it from her, and so you look for it because it's, oh, what did Bria do today? You know, so it's, sometimes you'll get longer, but sometimes they're just like one little sentence about whatever, but you know that you can expect that from Bria. So I think that's her thing, and I think that's cool.
And everyone has their own thing. Like, yours doesn't have to be workout videos. Like, it might be, that just happens to be like, I think, you know, my consistency in my workouts is my thing. It's like the one thing I hold on to because I'm not the best at nutrition. So if I can stay holding strong to like my motivation and people, every time I feel like I want to switch it up or quit, I'll get a message or something from someone that, you know, says something, and it just reminds me that people are watching. Even if I only get like 10 likes, you know, on it, I'm like, and they're the same 10 people.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I took lots of notes.
Okay.
Good.
Feel free, if you have questions, feel free to message me anytime. Like, shoot me a friend request if we're not friends yet, and we'll, you know, answer any questions.
Angie,
Yes,
did you?
Sure.
I do. How do you ever get people that are like, so what qualifies you to be a coach if, you know, you're not like certified or anything? Do you ever get people that question that?
I haven't had a lot of that, but I've certainly heard people talk about it. And for me, I heard something recently that I really liked. Like, I'm not an amateur personal trainer or an amateur nutritionist. Like, I'm a professional person who cares, you know, and my role is not really to give you personal training or nutrition advice. It's only to create a positive environment that encourages and motivates. And that's people's biggest issue, because although I believe wholeheartedly that Beachbody products are amazing and quality, anything out there, people would pick it and stick with it, they would get some results, but they don't. That's the trouble. And that's what we do as coaches, is that we help them pick it and stick it. And so my role, I think I would just be like, well, I'm not these things. I'm only sharing what worked for me, and I'm going to help you get through it so that you get results too. So that's what I would say. I've already thought about it. That's what I would say to people. But I understand that people might say that.
Right.
Yeah. I try to laugh those things off. It's like, well, I'm not out there touting that I'm anything, anyone famous, but
Right. Thanks.
no problem.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the P90X3 program right now, and I have some people interested in like the 21-day fix, which I am too, because I'm not the big nutrition coach, you might say. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I could benefit for it. And I think if I start a group with that, do you recommend doing both at the same time, or do you feel like that's a turnoff for people?
You mean what? So you have some people doing P90X3 and some people do 21-day fix, or
like I'm the only one doing P90, but other people doing 21-day fix, and I'll do it with them. Do you know what I'm saying?
So that you're in the group following the eating, but still doing your P90X3 workouts. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. Totally. Yeah, I think that there's value in you trying every single one of those workouts once. Yeah. So that you understand it if they're asking questions. But I most of the time, unless it's a new program launch, most of the time I'm not doing the same program as my challengers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Good.
Anyone else? No.
I'm sure I'll have more later once we hang up, but you know.
I know. So, Bria, just one last question. I know we've talked about before, when you, I just think that this is really a good piece of advice. I know you said before you ever do a certain group. So say you're doing like your challenge group, you said like 2 weeks in advance, you always post about your challengers and post about challenge groups and kind of lead up to the challenge, right? And you do the same thing with coaching. You kind of will post about it the week before, and then you'll lead up to the invite. Do you still follow that, and do you find that to be helpful with hitting Success Club? Like planning out an actual calendar of what you post and when?
I want to do that more than I do. And I do try to focus more on making sure I'm sharing those things. I don't know that I'm as consistent about it as I like to, but ideally, I feel like in an ideal world, and what I do find helpful is that, 2 to 3 weeks before my challenge group, that's more what I'm talking about, is like fitness, nutrition, results, my results, things like that, carving out time for workouts and that kind of stuff, or struggles. And then, of course, I gear it more towards talking about coaching. So I do try, and I think that there is a lot of opportunity for me to improve in those areas. And so I think if you can do that and be planned that way, I would recommend it.
Yeah, okay. I just know we had talked about that before, and I still need to implement that better. And so I was curious if you still are kind of doing that, because I'm going to try that for February. I'm going to try to really like hone in on planning out my posts more on what days to do what. And anyway, so.
Yeah.
All right, Bria, you're the best. Thank you so much. It was so helpful, and I just say amen to everything she said. Like, it's all so true and so good, and obviously it works. And like Bria said, this is not a quick thing at all. Like, she and I both started about the same time. It's, I guess it's been 2 to 3 years. But Bria has gone. She's leaps ahead me now, and it just goes to show that, like, things can happen really fast in this business, and it really is just a numbers game. Like, listening to her, she's obviously doing a lot more than me. She's 60 to 70 invites. Like, she's had more success because she's been putting in more work and putting in more invites and having more conversations. And that really is the name of the game. It's a numbers game. So the more people you talk to, the more likely you're going to get those bigger numbers, and your business is going to grow a lot faster. And so I've loved watching Bria, because someday when I don't have 3 little kids at home with me every second of the day, and I can devote more time, I know that it can happen really fast when it happens, but it's something that takes a while, because it's about people. You're building relationships, and that just doesn't happen overnight. So I love that you focus on that, Bria, and that you've lived that, and you showed us what's possible if we're consistent and we're in it for the right reasons of building relationships. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Good luck, everyone. And I hope to hear more about your successes over the next little while and meet you guys at Summit.
Yeah. All righty, ladies. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. So thank you so much for hopping on. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.